Coming to you from sunny California and the Great White North. Get ready. We are breaking down the obstacles on the Armchair Ninja Podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Armchair Ninja Podcast. It is Saturday, May 11th, 2019. My name is Rich, and joining me to cover the ANWJunior finale is Bijan. How you make it out?
I am great, man. What a fantastic finale. Like, oh my God. I could not believe how good this was. I could not picture a better finale. The runs were amazing. Stories were amazing. Thumbs up all the way. And bro, we got to talk about this Instagram picture of yours. What's up with the crying and the creepy face?
So yeah, for those that don't follow us on Instagram, I couldn't believe how early on in the episode I got all emotional. And I thought, you know what? I don't know if you guys believe me when I say that, like, these things make me cry or that I get really choked up watching these kids. I did. Like, I had to take a quick picture to share it. I framed it in a very creepy way because that's what I do. And Bijan really appreciated it for sure.
Yeah, nothing's better than opening up Instagram and seeing Rich's, like, just his eyes staring at you.
They're captivating. I have very, very nice eyes, I'll have you know. Glistening with tears. Yeah, I love this episode. Couldn't have scripted a better finale. It really, really played out well.
Oh yeah, absolutely amazing. I mean, I don't know. I feel like we need to start from the beginning because I don't want to spoil things, but I mean the storylines, the movements. But I think the most important thing was, and that I really, really appreciate, is every single athlete in this final gave it their absolute all. Nobody was just running the course or like whatever, like having, like, quote unquote, having fun, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But they really, really went for broke. And the way, like, credit to the producers also, they really, like, presented this like it's the finale. Like, the stakes were on the line, and you really felt like the tension palpable with you.
Exactly, yes. Everyone gave their personal best. There were so many records broken. The stories were good. They kind of rehashed, caught everybody up, but at the same time, everybody got their moment to shine. I didn't feel like anyone was really skipped over. They all got their due because everybody earned their spot. I couldn't say enough great about this finale. I loved every minute of it from the beginning.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is really good signs to come. I mean, every single time we see an iteration of American Ninja Warrior, whether the main show or the spinoffs, I mean, they really step up their game and improve. I mean, we're how many seasons in when you really count about all iterations of American Ninja Warrior, and yet they're still making all these incredible improvements.
Oh, I just thought I do have one criticism. I'll get this out of the way right at the beginning. I was disappointed that they didn't change the course up a bit. It was exactly the same course. It was nice to have that point of comparison, though, to see their times were meaningful, right? We knew how fast they could do the course. So from that perspective, it was nice to have that.
Yeah. Let's just get that out of the way. That's something I've always felt that they can do a little bit differently. Honestly, it doesn't need to be in the very last run, the final. But I would like to see them change up the course just a little bit, maybe one or two obstacles when it comes to the semifinals or the beginning of the finals. That's just something that I would like to see. But I mean, I know I've hit on that many times, but just again.
But surprisingly held up anyway. I really feel like I was disappointed at the beginning of the episode, but it didn't take long before I was just completely enthralled.
Yeah, because it's about the races. It's not about the course, which is very different from American Ninja Warrior, where it's a competitor against the course. Like, really, this is about the athletes, you know, competing against each other, not in a super hardcore, like fighting way, but, you know, just competing against each other, see who can be faster. And I do appreciate that. And after how many runs this season, I mean, we have 20 episodes altogether, it's still entertaining. And all of that can be chopped up to these amazing athletes, man. Like, props to all these kids.
Yeah, so let's get into the actual runs here. In the 9-10 age category, the first race we got to see was Taylor Greene versus Sean Arms. And I was like, no, I want to see Taylor move on to the finals, and Sean is so incredibly good.
Yeah, it's hard, right? Because it's Sean Arms. It's like, oh, man, that's like a juggernaut. We always compare him to Drew Drechsel, and for a reason, just how fast he is and you know, poise and everything. But I gotta say, this race, I was so impressed by Taylor Greene, even more than Sean Arms, to be honest with you. She really stepped her game up and went for it. And the whole time, I'm like, okay, Taylor, okay, let's go, let's do this. Like, she kept going for it. The way she went through those spin cycles were absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they both put up their personal best times. Like, you can't ask for any more than that. It was a fantastic race. And same thing, I was like, where is Taylor finding this speed from? Because she was good, but she wasn't, like this amazingly fast in the other races. She really knew she had to go, and she did. I was really thrilled with it. A little confused at the end because it sounded like it was determined right then, all of their placements. I was hoping that wasn't the case, which it wasn't. But what happened was they said basically after she came in second there, they weren't going to reveal the times because it would determine who got third or fourth place.
Yeah, third and fourth were determined by the two losers. For a lack of a better term,
right.
The two people that didn't move on, who their speed placements, the best time in terms of this. Not best time, but their time. And I don't know. I think that's fine. I understand some people might want to see them compete against each other for the third and fourth spot, but in terms of pacing, I'm all right with it. Were you cool with not seeing that and just measuring it based on time?
I wasn't at first, but I think it played out well. It didn't mean we didn't have to have any fast forwards. It meant that we could give some due time to those moving on to the finals and everything else. I think that kind of works out. We don't need to see the race for third and fourth. That time being the determining factor, I think, is why we didn't see anyone hold back in their races, right? You couldn't. You wanted to get as fast as you possibly could right on that very first race.
Yeah, and honestly, as a viewer perspective, although, there is, money compensation, the stakes just wouldn't be there as much watching somebody race for third and fourth place. I'm like, oh, well, this is cool. It's basically just seeing who gets more money. I mean, it's not there as much. So when you really present an episode where every single race is incredibly important, I think they did it right, is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. The race after that was Collin Cella versus Jacob Goldman. So they gave us the times at the beginning, and this was very similarly matched, right? So Collin's fastest time was 28 seconds versus 36 for Jacob, right? It's similar to the first race where it should be a complete blowout. It wasn't, though. Like, they did so well. Every last ninja just gave it everything. I couldn't say enough. Like, Jacob really, really pushed. Collin did end up winning. And then Jacob started crying at the top of the wall. Like, he was so upset by the whole thing. Drew runs up to comfort him. Akbar starts, cheering him on from the sidelines, telling him to stand up and be proud of what he did. That's the part that I cried at. That's the part that got me.
So explain a little bit more. Like, why was that so moving for you?
I could see my kids in that moment, right? I could see how disappointed he was, and I felt like he had no reason to feel that way. Like, and I loved that everybody was, supporting him. I was smiling. Even in the picture, you can see I'm smiling. I was tearing up, and I'm starting to do it again here just thinking about it. It's like a good cry. It's like I'm so proud of him, oddly enough, that he did so well, and I'm so happy that everyone's there to tell him that and to lift him up and let him know that he did a fantastic job. He has absolutely no reason to be upset. He did as good as he could possibly do, and against 64 of these top ninjas, he ended up placing third. Like, that is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And he lost to the kid that ultimately won the entire thing. Sorry to spoil one ahead.
Right.
But, I mean, he really has nothing to be ashamed of. And I don't think it is something like that in terms of disappointment. It's just, the moment. I mean, I've been that age, and I played a lot of sports growing up, and I would be so incredibly upset when we lost, One of the hardest moments for me was, it's sorry to make it about me and everything, but very quickly, one time we were in the regional finals in a baseball game, and because I didn't catch the ball, we lost the game. and I had to deal with that for months, but I eventually overcame it, and I feel like he's going to do the same. He's going to look back at this and be so incredibly proud of what he did. And when one thing that really stuck out to me is as soon, and I mean as soon as you saw that he was upset, immediately you see Drew Dreshel running up that wall and coming and comforting him. And then immediately you see Akbar no longer in like I guess presenter host mode, but dad mode. He's talking specifically to him and comforting Jacob right there. And even on the sidelines, you see all the parents. Like this, I feel like as much as I'm an instructor, I'm a librarian, I work with kids and everything. I think anybody that's been there as a parent or a parenting role can really connect to what this was like and has been there. And I think it means a lot for you, Rich, saying like you even teared up and you found that connection, because I feel like this is one of the moments on the show where a lot of people had that same reaction.
Yeah. It's a special show. It's unique in its own right. But these are top ninjas, and I just love everything about it. I'm pretty sure they've already announced there's a season 2. It'd be crazy not to have it.
Yes.
I want to see it move to NBC so more people can enjoy it.
100%. I want to see it on NBC or USA or something where, no discredit to USA Kids, but I just feel like this is such an important, amazing show that, a much wider audience can really connect with this. And this could be really a big thing, honestly. Like, I really think NBC really has a hit on their hands where they can really make like a connection with a new audience here. And man, these are the moments we're talking about. Even though he, was defeated, so to speak, in this, he wasn't the winner. He had Jacob probably had one of the most important scenes or moments in the entire show. And not only that, let's not discredit, the course crusher. He was amazing in his race and really showed why he's there. I know a lot when it comes to this age group, we in particular have been talking about Sean Arms, but, Collin really showed up and really showed why he should be in the finals.
Yeah. It's a shame that we've given Sean all the attention because Collin deserved just as much of it. He's done a fantastic job. And that actually meant, that leads us into actually Sean versus Collin in the finals. 2 of Drew's students, good friends from the same gym. They're fastest.
Did you notice that? Like going into this, did you realize that like they were like teammates, in training and like friends and all that? I had no idea.
I think they mentioned it before. I had forgotten somewhere along the way, but yeah, it really made it even more interesting. Actually, I love everything about this. This is one of my favorite races of all times. We have 2 of the fastest times, right? We have a 27.65 second racer versus a 28.96. They're right on each other's heels. This had everything you could want. Collin was off the spin cycle when Sean was on the first wheel of it, right? So Collin's ahead. Like, it's a very, very close race. They're both going full out. So Collin is coming off the final obstacle, heading for the wall. And Sean brings on this burst of speed, and it comes down to the buzzer. They like photo finish, 0.11 second difference. Collin ends up getting the win.
It's crazy, man. I mean, it's very interesting the fact that going in, first of all, at least from our side, Sean Arms was the talk of the town, but there was only 1 second difference between their best times. So really, we've been sleeping on Course Crusher. Although I knew Course Crusher was amazing. Now, as you said, in this race, it was back and forth. When you look at their race, they're neck and neck getting off of the I-beam, which was one of the more pronounced obstacles. But when we go into the oh gosh, what is it called? The wheel rotation. What is it called?
The spin cycle?
Spin cycle. Thank you. I'm losing my mind here. When I look back at the spin cycle, Sean Arms is still like Lishing. His arms are still on the very first spin cycle by the time Collin Course Crusher gets off in that obstacle and lands on the pad. So pretty much there is an entire obstacle difference between them. And yet, Sean Arms makes up that difference, gets up that warped wall, and they make it a split second of a difference on that buzzer. I mean, you cannot have more drama. It goes back and forth and back and forth. And props to them, man. They gave it their all. And as good friends, I mean, I feel like they're going to be neck and neck and like competing against each other and basically iron sharpening iron, until they're on the show proper. Heck, we see this with what? Kyle Soderman and I forget his name, but the lizard
Hunter
guy.
Gerard.
Yeah, and we see so many other examples of ninjas where they have very close friends and they build each other up. And good on these kids. I feel like they're going to be hallmarks on this show for a long time because they're obviously in the youngest age group. I think we're going to see them year after year competing against each other and having a ton of fun doing it. Props to them.
It's one of our favorite storylines from the main show. That's a great point, actually. Think about Flip versus Drew, Thomas Stillings, the Genie Ninja, versus Daniel Guild. Like, those friendly camaraderies are a cornerstone of Ninja. It's something that we love to watch. It draws you in instantly. And yeah, I think we've got lots of years left of seeing Sean versus Collin, and it's a fantastic thing to watch.
Oh, yeah.
They even swapped shirts during the medal ceremony, which I thought was amazing.
This is the thing also. These kids are so incredibly mature and poised. Like, that is such an amazing, heartfelt thing. It's a simple symbolic gesture, but it means everything in the world. And good on these kids for even like coming up with something like that. Like, man, yeah, good stuff. Props all around. Ding for that. Major win.
All right. So yeah, 9 and 10 really kicked it off with a bang. I was hopeful for 11 and 12. It didn't seem like it was going to be as close of one from our earlier picks,
to say the least.
And it did end up being kind of not quite as close as the other ones. But let's run through some of the races here.
Sorry, before you do, I just want to give a quick shout out to, I forget the name of the host. I'm sorry, she's new to me, but the host actually, the sideline host, she actually ran the course. Lori Hernandez. She just she ran the course, and she actually had a ton of fun. I don't know why, but I really respect seeing them actually take on the course, kind of showing like, hey, this is not some like easy course or whatever. Like, she was struggling through it and actually having tons of fun. And I don't know, something like that is just really fun to see in the finals. I was like, hey, I like this moment of levity. Yeah, levity. Sorry, my brain is stopped. It's just stopped. Graduate student in English. Yeah, of course. I have a vast lexicon. Levity. There you go.
Yeah, she was great. And it does show it because she's an Olympian. It's not like she's a slouch herself, right? She's an athletic woman, and she struggled on it a bit. So it really shows that these kids it is not a Mickey Mouse course by any stretch. It is actually a very good, difficult ninja course.
Yes. And I'm really glad she didn't just faceplant into the warped wall. I don't know if it's her first time, but let's just say, and I'm sure a lot of people know that's listening to this that's ever done the warped wall. First time people do the warped wall. No matter how many times people say, like, lean back, focus on going up the warped wall, a lot of people go straight into it. It's kind of one of those things you just got to learn over time.
All right. So in the 11-12 bracket, our first race was Ella McRitchie versus Kai Beckstrand. 30. I have to say, in these matchups, the times were closer than we saw in any of the other ones, right? There were basically negligible differences between each of the ninjas. We had 37 seconds versus 33 for their fastest times. Kai was the first one off the rings. She nearly caught up on the flywheels, but he ended up getting the win in the end. But she was on his heels by the time he got up that wall. Like, she closed the gap pretty well.
Yeah, I think this one thing you're talking about is the fact that as much as it is the kids that really have been doing well, the front runners, they kind of just they've already plateaued in being perfect, so to speak. Like, they can do a little bit better, but really the thing that stood out to me are the kids that have had some struggles, like are good, but not like, the front runners, the top of the top. And Ella McRitchie, man, she really stepped up her game and just went for broke. She took more risks, and she really had to just go for it. And even though she didn't win in this, she should be so proud of everything she gave him. I mean, Kai did not just destroy this course, like, and leave her in the dust. Like, she really was at his heels the whole time, and that, should be really commended.
Absolutely. And in the next race, we had Tate Allen versus Caleb Brown. I actually paused there for a second because I have so many notes on Tate's segment that he got here. Like, why? I don't know why they gave such a big segment here. They've been giving really short ones overall, but they gave him a really long one. Like, he's the only 11-year-old left in the competition. He wants to be a financial planner. He works once a month with his dad, trading stocks. As like, okay, like, can we get to the race? Like, it was a really long segment for this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I just skipped through it at a certain point. I was like, look, I am not here to learn about, an 11-year-old's plans for a future career. As somebody that's, how do I say this? I have a lot of time in college. I've been to college for over 10 years now, guys. A lot of people change their career paths. Not saying he's going to, but I'm just saying, I don't need to hear about 11-year-old's plans for what he's going to do for the rest of his life yet.
Yeah, I don't like that he has more stocks than I do. That was a little upsetting. But other than that, it was fine.
Same here.
But yeah, and then Caleb Brown was there as well, much taller than Tate. So kind of the story between this was 5'5" Caleb versus 4'10" Tate. Very similar fastest times, 35 versus 33. So it was really anyone's game. Tate fumbled on the cargo net and got behind. But Caleb ended up falling on the rings. He tried to skip the rings too far and ended up taking a spill. So one of the front runners to take it all ended up falling.
Yeah, that was a complete surprise to me. We've seen time and time again people go for this particular style, technique, on the rings, do a wide angle reach and get it. And, you can really make up a lot of time there. But what we haven't seen a whole lot of is just how incredibly difficult that is. And it's unfortunate that we see it in the absolute, finals. But as somebody that's tried that and failed many times, that is so not easy to do. And as we've seen, once you expand your entire body like that, the swing back, how do I describe this? To do that, you kind of have to, on the ring that you already have grip on, like his right hand, that you kind of have to loosen your grip on to expand your body outwards that much. So if you don't get it and you swing back, all of that force on your right hand is basically on your fingertips at that point, and it's very, very easy to slip off. So, I mean, it sucks to see that happened to him, but I completely understand why it did. And I don't know, man. Just sometimes you got to go for those risks and they don't pan out. But yeah.
So that meant
I was killing a spider, so it's like just rumbling on.
That means that Caleb was automatically in fourth and Ella was in third, meaning that in the finals we had Kai versus Tate. Kai ends up doing this long dismount off the rings. Tate matches it. Kai keeps the lead, but Tate closes the gap on the flywheels, and Kai was just a little bit faster in the end, but both did phenomenal. Like, I couldn't believe Tate, like, really, really stepping it up in a big, big way to keep on his heels and to match all of those big feats that he was doing.
Yeah, I feel bad because, honestly, the winners, the people that don't win are the ones that are really surprising me and I want to talk about more. Because Kai, I guess already I was expecting him to do so phenomenal. But Tate, man, wow. He should be so incredibly proud of everything he gave. He just leaped off that TikTok. He went into those rings and he was just going back and forth. He did the extra, two ring, pegs at once, and swung off it one-armed. He flew through and went into that spin cycle, just one after one without stopping at any extra swings. He gave it his absolute all. The one thing that stands out to me are the kids that aren't the front runners, their progression. The risks they're taking and the things that they're learning in such a short period of time to match up to the front runners that probably have years of experience. And not to discredit anything from Kai, but Tate, really, his progression, when you look at his very first run in the entire season to now, absolutely stunning.
Very, very well said. Exactly it. it was the unexpected surprise of the whole episode for me was how much those second and third places were so amazing to watch, because there was no gimmies in this episode. It just, everybody was pushed to their limits, and it was just great to watch.
Yeah, man. I mean, can you imagine, like, what must it be like at the tapings for all those families there? Because, you know, they're probably getting closer. They, like, everybody knows each other. Like, these, when they're actually, like, giving these championship moments and, like, seeing the progression of these kids, I'm sure there are a lot of really proud families. And just, like, generally, I have to imagine the vibe is just so incredibly positive. We talk about American Ninja Warrior in general, of a positive environment and everything like that. But I kind of feel like the crowd for these shows in particular, just really everybody's very happy.
Yeah, I think it really trumps like hockey parents and soccer parents. I really feel like it's probably a much better atmosphere in the stands than we see in a lot of sports with especially child's athletics. Can go very, very wrong.
And like afterwards we see like all the kids jumping in the water, you know, and no shade to Christine Leahy, but you know, the sideline host jumps in the water with them and is like having fun. You know, like I just love to see this like this vibe of just everybody having fun and just really embracing, like, yeah, it's a competition, but at the end of the day, everybody's just really enjoying everything American Ninja Warrior. I don't know. I loved everything about this.
Yep.
Get on NBC! Ah! I want this on NBC so bad!
All right, so let's take a look at the 13, 14-year-old range, because this is what it all came down to. And this is the one that I was most excited for after our coverage last week. I was like, all right, now it's going. Now we get to see these crazy teenagers just rip through this course.
Oh, yeah. Because these kids, man, fast, but also, like, the competition, as we were talking about last time, very close.
Yeah, in the first matchup, we had Vance Walker. That's the guy I always remember him as having the ninja household with the big pool and everything, versus Jonathan Godbout, the drummer.
See, for me, Godbout, it's that flying shelf grab. He does it better than anybody else. That's the thing that stood out to me. And I remember Vance kind of struggles on that. So this race I was very invested in, just to see how they pair up when it comes to the end.
Yeah, we talked about it at length in our coverage last week. Was how is this race going to go down? Because we knew Vance hesitated a little bit in previous races, and we thought he can't do that against Jonathan. He's really got to push it. And it went down like perfectly. Like we basically called how this was going to go almost to a T. Vance got the lead to the flying shelf grab. He was just faster, especially on the devil steps.
Devil steps, man.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Makes all the difference for him.
But Jonathan nearly closed the gap on the flying shelf grab, but Vance was like going all out. He did not hesitate. He was absolutely giving it his all, and he had to, and ended up getting the win in the end. But wow, we had actually called Godbout to play spoiler there, but Vance did exactly what he had to do and brought home the win. So good for him.
Yeah, I mean, wow. It's so hard. Like, it went how we described, but sometimes just as you describe it is everything you want in life. Man, was this close. As you said, like, just the way how it started, where Vance gets this huge lead in those devil steps. But then, you just know Godbout is so good with those flying shelf grab, and he catches up, and they almost land at the same time off the final, like that transition to the warped wall. And it's anybody's game right there. I mean, props to them. They hit the buzzer, and they're literally, like, exhausted, and I don't know. You could just tell they stepped each other's like game up both, and oh, they should be proud of themselves. What an amazing race.
Yeah. Next up, we had Nate Pardo versus Jeremiah Boyd. This was the matchup that I was curious about, because you really were big on Jeremiah, like to do very, very well. It was pretty evenly matched, to be honest, like more so than I would have thought.
I'm sorry, but I gotta say, just them at the front line, Jeremiah is a year older than Pardo. Pardo looks like he's like the older brother by like 5 years. It's just so jarring to me.
Yeah, Nate seems like, I don't know what it is, if it's just his attitude, the fact that he's like 5'5", so he's a little taller than most of them. I don't get it, but he looks like he's a good 16 years old, and the rest of them all look 13 basically.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Sorry, just once again, just them next to each other. I can't. It's so jarring.
So Nate's fastest time to this point had been 25 seconds. He has the fastest time of anybody versus the 32-second fastest time that Jeremiah had. When they mentioned Nate skipping the top step and the devil steps, I thought he was going to get disqualified, and I was confused on them saying that was a good thing. So I actually had to go back and look because I was confused. I don't think you're allowed to do that, right? Otherwise, people would just
why
flying shelf grab their way across from the bottom or something, right? But what he did was actually he grabbed the top step on the side he was climbing and then grabbed down on the other side, which I assume is okay because I'm pretty sure they have to touch the top step.
I never thought about that. Makes sense. But honestly, I'm kind of like, hey, go for it, guys. If you want to do that 180 transition like across, like go for it. But I understand what you're saying. But yeah, the way he did the devil steps in I think maybe just like 3 or 4 transitions. Like he skipped 2 steps, then grabbed the top, and then he basically went 2 steps underneath. I'm sorry, this is hard to describe, but basically, he made that look like a joke. He did it so incredibly quickly. In the devil steps, as someone that's done it, it is very, very easy to lose your grip and fall on that obstacle. He took these major, major risks, and it worked out for him. And, good for him. And I must say, once again, Jeremiah, he caught up to him when it came to those running transitions, when it came to the floating tiles and everything. They actually got on the flying shelf grab around the same time, even though Pardo was a full obstacle ahead of him due to those devil steps. That kid is just so dang fast.
They called it out.
I mean, go ahead.
They actually called it out just like you did, right? I thought that was a pretty cool moment because the show called out the fact that Jeremiah is just insanely fast between the obstacles. They brought it down to the same thing you had, that's his strength, and that's how he would have to beat Nate in this case is in that foot speed that he has.
Yeah. So I think it's one of those things where Jeremiah, if he continues to do American Ninja, I'm not going to say he's 1-1, but he's going to have similar attributes to what makes Adam Rail such a beast when it comes to competitions, which is the speed in which he goes through the transitions. If he aces up his game in terms of doing obstacles very quickly, and he reaches to the point of Pardo or Vance Walker, and he's already got the running transitions between them, I mean, he's going to be an absolute beast.
Yeah, we saw that with Jessie Lebrecq, too, in Ninja vs. Ninja. She was definitely made use of that foot speed above all else to really break out those leads and end up winning the whole thing. But in the end, Nate ended up slowing down on the flying shelf grab, which I actually thought Jeremiah could catch up there because we remember Nate fell on the flying shelf grab, just very, very narrowly missed being knocked out of the finals on that. So when he slowed down that much, I thought Jeremiah might have a chance because if he could get off the obstacle first, I had every faith in him being able to get up and over that wall quicker. So very, very interesting. But Jeremiah fell trying to keep up with him, unfortunately. Fell right at the end of the flying shelf grab.
Yeah, Jeremiah tried, I guess the transition without stopping, 1-to-1. And it didn't work out for him, but I really respect the fact that he tried.
Yeah. The interview afterwards is kind of interesting. So Lori Hernandez asked Jeremiah, who was in 4th place, what are you planning to do with your money? He says, my mom says I'm going to be investing my money, but I don't know what that means. And then Jonathan,
I love that.
Asked him, and he said he knew he'd be donating some to charity, the charity that he works with, and then he teared up. These kids are amazing. They don't just do well in the course. I find they do really well in the interviews a lot of times. They keep it interesting. Yeah. They give funny answers or touching answers. This was a perfect example of doing a really good job in the interview afterwards.
Yeah, and it culminates, it kind of finalizes Godbout's story also, and the fact that, we learned about his, how charitable he is and how much it means to him. So the fact that it ends, the season for him ends with, I won some money and I'm going to donate some of it to my charity. And it's not something where it's like, oh, I'm going to donate it to charity. It's like, no, the charity I work with, something that means a lot to me, something where I really put in my time and effort into it, and see the emotion on his face. Like, it really meant a lot to him. And even though he didn't win the entire competition, he won something, I think, even more. And the fact that now he can even donate like his winnings or some of his financial, I guess, prizes to something that he really, really cares about. And at his age, I mean, I'm sure that means all the world to him. So I'm really, really happy for Godbout in particular.
All right, so that left us with one race to go. Vance versus Nate. Vance, the ninja household guy, and Nate, the crazy parkour fast guy who had the unexpected fall in the previous episode. The two fastest times, first and second, both perfect records, 6-0 records. Their fastest times being 26 seconds and 25 seconds. I didn't know what to expect. I thought someone's probably going to fall early. I expected kind of a disappointing last race because somebody's rushing too much, maybe.
Yeah, I just didn't know, as you said, because, I mean, I've seen them both struggle in different ways, but yet, even in struggle, they get like the fastest times, right?
Yeah.
So they are so incredibly, I guess, good. I really don't know what to say about it, and it really could have gone any other way.
But this race is the race to end all races.
Oh, man.
Nate was slightly ahead by the double steps, but Vance just crushes those and was able to get ahead by the other side. Both of them went through the flying shelf faster than anyone else has in this entire competition. Both get personal bests. 24.71 for Nate and 24.20 for Vance. Like, just the fastest, most amazing race we've seen, and it's the final race of the whole thing. Like, it couldn't be more picture perfect.
Race of the season, race of the show, one of the races of the year. I mean, if Stage5 Ninja Awards, you got to keep this in mind, man. I mean, I really, really give my hats off to both of these competitors. They gave it their all. They really set their games up, and everything they learned from this entire season, you saw it in race form. You saw it. Vance, what was his struggles? It was the flying shelf grab. Guess what he did? He did the same technique that he did against his former competitor, Godbout. If you look back and forth, like if you put them next to each other, he basically mirrored Godbout's technique in the final. And he didn't have probably time to train. He just had to do it. He had to do it, and he did it. When it came to Pardo, he did everything that he learned when it came to the devil steps to match Vance, and yet he was doing the flying shelf grab with his like amazing technique of him like swinging his body forward. And then when they got off that and they ran up that warped wall, they just blew through that and went as fast as they could, and it came down to a millisecond each. And they both topped each of their top scores. I mean, this was amazing. This is what you want to see. And what a way to end the entire season is the fact that both of them did their best time, and not only best time, but the best times of the entire season. Out of all of the competitors, all the age groups and everything else, and this is a very, very difficult course for their age group, they got the fastest times. I mean, you cannot end this more perfectly. Props to them, props to everybody involved in this, and I absolutely love this series, love this show. I can't wait for it to come back, and I really think they have something on their hands. Vance Walker, Pardo, I mean, you guys deserve everything and more.
Yes, everything you just said 1,000 times over. Vance Walker and Nate Pardo, keep those names in mind. Those will be the future ninjas you will be seeing on ANW. Absolutely crushing the course. Fantastic guys, fantastic ninjas. Love every minute of this show. We've been saying that for a long time now, but it can't be overstated. I'm so disappointed that some of you haven't been able to track down the episodes, and I wish I could help. But if you do get a chance at some point, maybe it's being in reruns on some other channel somewhere, keep an eye out in your schedule. Find it somewhere else, because you deserve to see what a great show this is.
100%. I mean, I was able to find it on Amazon. If you, I hope, the show gets some monetary, appreciation from people watching on Amazon or however you find it. But I mean, this was something special. It really was. Out of all of the American Ninja Warrior spinoffs, this is really, really high up there for me. As much as I love Team Ninja Warrior, Ninja vs. Ninja, College Ninja Warrior, all of those, this one really stood out to me. And I think it has to do with the fact that I just really, my own bias, didn't have much thought for the show going into it. I really thought that they were going to play the kiddie card, and they really gave these kids the respect they deserve in finding like legit ninjas, legit athletes, and really presenting this in a more focused format. Even though they had the fun, they had the storylines, even in the finale, it was all like really happy vibes. The production, the presentation was very serious and very focused. When there was matchups, you saw these kids paired up with each other and they gave actually important stats. It wasn't like, oh, this kid's like teacups and this kid like blah, blah, blah. It's like this kid, their best obstacle is the flying shelf grab and the other one is, I don't know, the TikTok or something like that. Like, they're showing you stats that actually matter. They're presenting it like it actually matters. Everything mattered to this, and all around, this was presented in such a perfect way.
Oh, I do want to circle back to one other thing you said, which I hadn't even considered until just right this minute. The Stage5 Ninja Awards, we're going to have a couple of categories for ANWJunior.
Oh, 100%, man. 100%.
Now I'm curious what those would be, and I actually could use some suggestions on that. So, if you have suggestions on what categories we should have for ANWJunior in the Stage5 Ninja Awards, feel free to reach out to me as rich@ninjapodcast.com. I am at Ninja Podcast on both Instagram and Twitter. And Bijan, how can they reach you?
Yes, well, for one, it's always a point of contention with everybody involved with Stage5 Ninja Awards of should the spin-off runs count in the final like major, like, I guess, grand scheme of things, like best run of this year. I say yes. Vance Walker, Nate Pardo should 100% be in the running for best run of the year. Just saying. So blow up Ninja or Rich's email saying, yes, I want that. That's my call to action, everyone, because darn it, they deserve it. That's it. Hit me up at Twitter and Instagram at Bijan151. That is Bijan 151. Got some engagement photos on there, and soon you'll see some Hawaii pics.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening, and have a wonderful week.
Peace, love, and deuces, y'all. Get on NBC!